I was driving down that empty highway just trying to get home. The night had a way of swallowing up everything around me, leaving nothing but the narrow beam of my headlights to cut through the darkness. The clock on the dashboard read 11:47 p.m., and my eyes were heavy, the fatigue from a long day pulling at me. The road stretched out endlessly ahead, no other cars in sight. Just me and the hum of the engine, with the occasional gust of wind rattling the windows. I rubbed my eyes trying to stay awake. Just a little further, I muttered to myself, convincing myself that I could make it home. That's when the radio flickered on. Static at first, then it tuned into some old crackling station. A voice, distorted and faint, seeped through the speakers. "He's watching you, don't look back." My heart skipped a beat. I stared at the radio trying to process what I had just heard. I glanced in the rearview mirror, but the back seat was empty, just shadows playing tricks on my tired mind. What the hell was that? I whispered, my voice trembling. I turned the radio off, but the silence that followed was worse. It was as if the night had grown thicker, more oppressive. My headlights flickered, the road ahead seeming to twist and warp in the darkness. I shook my head, chalking it up to exhaustion, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. And then I saw her. Standing in the middle of the road, a woman in white, her long hair covering her face. I slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching as I came to a halt just inches from her. My heart pounded in my chest. "Oh my God!" I gasped, struggling to catch my breath. I honked the horn, hoping she would move, but she just stood there, completely still. The air in the car grew cold, so cold I could see my breath. Something was terribly wrong. I reached for the door handle, thinking maybe I should check on her, but as soon as my hand touched the handle, her head snapped up. Her eyes, they were black, hollow, like twin voids staring right through me. I froze, my hand trembling on the door handle. She began to glide towards the car, not walking, just floating. My headlights flickered again, and suddenly the engine stalled. The lights went out, leaving me in complete darkness, with only the faint outline of her figure getting closer. Panic surged through me. I tried to start the car, my hands shaking as I fumbled with the key. Finally, the engine roared to life and I threw the car into reverse, spinning it around and speeding away. The road twisted in ways that didn't make sense, leading me deeper into the night. I didn't care where I was going, I just needed to get away. But then I looked in the rearview mirror again. She was in the backseat, just sitting there, her black eyes locked on mine. I screamed, swerving the car wildly. "No! Get out! Leave me alone!" I yelled, my voice hoarse with fear. The car skidded off the road, crashing through a wooden fence. I came to a stop in the middle of an old, abandoned cemetery, the engine sputtering before it died completely. I was trapped. The doors wouldn't open, the windows wouldn't budge. I grabbed my phone, but it was dead. The woman was gone, but the air was thick with something else, something malevolent. Then I heard it, a faint whisper from the back seat. Slowly I turned around. She was back, but this time she wasn't alone. Shadowy figures, their faces twisted in torment, began to materialize behind her. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The radio flickered on again, the same distorted voice whispering, overlapping itself in an echo that filled my mind. "You can't escape. This is where they died, and so will you." I tried to open the door to break the window, but it was no use. The shadows closed in, their cold fingers brushing my skin. I screamed, a sound of pure terror, but it felt like the darkness swallowed my voice. No one could hear me. No one could save me. The last thing I saw before everything went black was her face, twisted into a smile that sent chills down my spine. They found my car the next morning, sitting in that old cemetery. The doors were wide open, but I was nowhere to be found. They say the car was untouched, no sign of a struggle, no trace of where I might have gone. Just gone. Now, when people tell the story of that haunted road, they say if you drive there at night, you might hear my screams carried on the wind, a warning to anyone foolish enough to think they can escape the darkness. But take it from me, you can't.